I will now call the Community Safety Committee meeting to order at 5:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This meeting is being held in person, electronically in accordance with the Municipal Act. We're going to do consent items for this agenda. And for those items, I will read out the titles associated with the recommended motions printed on the agenda. Members of the Community Safety Committee may ask that an item be held to discuss the matter further. For items that are not held, they will be deemed approved on consent with no further discussion on the matter, and then these items will move forward to the next general committee meeting for consideration. We don't have any public meetings or open delegations or presentations by staff, officer, agents, or corporations. We don't have any standing items or committee updates, and we don't have any referred items. We don't have any reports of advisory committee reports or reports of the officers of the corporation, but we do have items for discussion. So 8.1 is an investigation for a no stopping zone at St. Jean Vianney Catholic School. It reads as follows: that staff in development services investigate the feasibility of implementing no stopping restrictions adjacent to St. Jean Vianney Catholic School and report back to General Committee. Sponsored by Councillor Harris. Any holds on this? No, seeing none. That's approved on consent and goes to General Committee. 8.2, investigation for three-way stop Ann Street North and Hammer Street West. That staff in the Development Service Department investigate the feasibility of installing a three-way stop at the intersection of Ann Street North and Hammer Street West and report back to General Committee. Sponsored by Councillor Corser.
Hold, please.
Held by Councillor Corser. 8.3, Bike Lane Grove Street. That staff in Development Services investigate the restriction of parking on Grove Street East from Johnson Street to Pentanguishene Road to install a bike lane. This is sponsored by Councillor Rietma. Any holds on this item? Nope, seeing none. That is approved on consent. 8.4, raised intersection, Madeline Drive and Country Lane. That staff in the Development Services Department submit a capital project intake form for consideration as part of the 2025 capital plan concerning the installation of a raised intersection at Madeline Drive and Country Lane, sponsored by Mayor Nuttall. Any holds on that? Nope, seeing none, that's approved on consent. And lease of additional speed enforcement cameras, 8.5, that staff and development services be authorized to lease 2 additional automated speed enforcement cameras to be funded through the program revenue in the operating budget, and that's sponsored by Mayor Nuttall.
Hold, please.
Held by Deputy Mayor Thompson. Perfect. So with that, with those items held, we will now go back to the first item that was held, which was 8.2. Councillor Corser, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just a question, I guess for staff. So I have the developments just process. I have the development services memorandum. That is not a staff report, or is that considered a staff report?
I believe that is a memorandum.
So that this, because there's already, okay. So then going forward, this is for staff requesting staff do a report.
Correct. Ms. Cook, my understanding is a memo is information that may have been requested or not requested, but just given for context, and a report usually has an action item.
Yes.
Is that a correct distinction?
Through you, Chair Morales, 2 members of the committee. A report back to a committee can be either via memorandum or staff report. If staff aren't recommending anything, they'll report back to committee via memorandum on the circulation list. If they are making any recommendations to either not do some, like not install something or install something, they would come back in the form of a staff report. But
Perfect.
Since there's no recommendations, they didn't report back by a report.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Cook. I learned something today, Councillor Corser. Your memo will hopefully evolve to a staff report.
Yes, I would like to have a staff report so we can have, I guess we need a staff report to have further discussion on this for staff recommendations, correct?
Sorry, that was a statement. You said you would like a staff report.
Or
finish with correct.
Yes, so the staff has done the investigation. They bring back a memorandum with the information, but I disagree with the recommendation. But there is actually not a recommendation on the memorandum. So I would like to have further conversation for further context surrounding this. So I don't know what steps I have to take forward, steps I need to take to have a fulsome discussion regarding the 3-way stop at Hammer and Ann.
Ms. Cook, and then can be given to other staff members.
through Chair Morales to Councillor Corser. You could do a slight amendment to the motion that's on the floor, your item that's on the floor, and request that staff report back via staff report and not a memorandum. And I'm sure you'll have conversations with staff concerning this otherwise too.
Okay, sorry, just to be clear, I didn't quite hear you. So I need to make an amendment to have a staff report?
Yes, sorry, I
Okay.
wasn't clear and loud enough. My apologies.
That's-
Yes, you'll just have to just maybe add like a bit of a slight amendment to ask staff to report back through a staff report and not a memorandum.
Okay, I would like to make an amendment then to have staff report, bring a report back as opposed to a memorandum.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Corser. So I'm just reading, do you have in front, we all, right, you have in front of you? So I just want to make sure we get this right. So, and Hammer Street West and report back to general committee, comma, in the form of a staff report. Is that sufficient?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. Thank you.
In the form of staff report. Okay, so that's an amendment by Councillor Corser. Any questions on the amendment by members of committee? No questions on the amendment? Okay. We're going to vote just on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. And the 8.2 as amended, any questions on that? None? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Mayor Nettle.
Yeah, I will wait to see, not to see, I guess we've already seen, but to deal with this at a later point. I just want to provide one point of clarification because it went on consent. When I look at Ann and Hanmer, what I see is not necessarily a stop sign. I see if we can do something like a raised intersection, narrowing the roads, those types of things there. I worry about a stop sign there because I'm guessing, I don't know for sure. I'm guessing there's kids that walk from, is it Penton, the other side of Ann there, over to the school. And I worry about drivers getting used to rolling stops at that intersection. But at the same time, I think that obviously you're responding to a need in the public, so we got to find something. So all I want to say is, like, I don't know that it's a stop sign for me that makes the most sense there, but I hear you that something does.
If I may, through you, Chair.
Go ahead, Councillor.
It is that there is a catwalk that comes out, and just driving actually the other day into town from Midland, just around school time, there were kids waiting at that stop, waiting to cross the road there. But also it is people trying to exit Hanmer. There is driveways, people are rightfully so parked in their driveways, and there is a definite line of sight issue, and there's a speed issue with coming into the city, as well as one resident said it's like playing Russian roulette, trying to pull out of there, no line of sight, difficult line of sight, and also the continuing exponential growth of traffic coming into that because of the developments that are coming at the end of Carson Road. So there's a lot more volume of traffic, and it goes up every day. So it is twofold. It is absolutely the kids crossing the road to get to the school, and also people pulling out of Hammer without a good line of sight, and people speeding coming into the city. So there's two issues there. Thanks.
Perfect. You still have the floor, Mayor Nettle. You're good?
No, I just agree with everything was just said.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, Bala, if you look at this location, it has a lot of similarities with Dean and Mapleview with the left-hand turns on a major road. And Councillor Corser, I'm sure staff will look at all options. One option that we got in Ward 9 was kind of a center median that prevented left-hand turns out of the subdivision, which increases safety, but sometimes is not popular with residents. So we'll let staff investigate all options. And with that said, all those in favor, please indicate.
So you have a Councillor Kungle.
Oh, no, I just missed you. That's it. Sorry about that. With that said, any questions or comments from members of the committee? None? Okay, now members of the committee. Go ahead, Councillor Kungle.
Thank you, Chair Morales. So maybe just a comment, and I could be overstepping, but from hearing the conversation, if it's just asking staff in your amendment to come back with a staff report. There's no guidance about if you want another alternative, and everything in the memo you have is specific to engagement on an always stop or not.
Mm.
So are you asking staff? I want to clarify the intention about if staff are coming back, are you asking them to come back with an alternative outside of a three-way stop? I think that might be the piece that's missing to be directive to staff about. Otherwise, my assumption is you're going to get back exactly what we've got in the memo.
Through you, Chair, yes, you're right. It does sound kind of redundant. I am open to all safe options at that intersection. Absolutely. That is something, if staff would like to bring out alternatives, that would be fantastic. If there's something that we have a magic bullet for this, then that would be fantastic. I know that the conversations I've had with residents all along that stretch of road, Hanmer and was for a request for stop. But if there is something that may be more safer, more practical with the flow of traffic there, I'm open to all options. It's a dangerous intersection, so.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Corser. Bala, sorry, my apologies. I think this goes to, I don't know who this goes to. Okay, nice. I like the confidence. Ms. Banfield, what would be the language? I totally agree with Councillor Congo's point and Councillor Corser's addition there. Investigation for intersection improvement. Would that be the most generic that allows you guys to investigate wholesomely, or do you have any other suggestions?
Through you, Chair Morales, it could be intersection safety improvements.
Perfect. Nice and simple. Councillor Corser, would you like to move that as a quick amendment?
Yes, that's fantastic. I don't want to like stifle staff to, if they've got some great ideas, I'd love to hear them. Absolutely. So I need to table an amendment? Yep. Okay, so I guess I'm removing the last, do we need to vote down the previous amendment, or we just need to remove it and then change the wording?
So, no. So we amended the motion as per your request for staff report.
Yes, okay.
And so my recommendation is that you move an additional amendment that just says that you're amending, removing three-way stop and replacing it with, you heard some of the suggestion, intersection improvement initiatives.
So we're changing the amendment to staff report back on safety improvements at that intersection. Suggested.
So just
Okay.
remove any mention
Remove the
of three-way
three-way
stop.
stop and replace with, yes, and replace with intersection safety improvement.
Perfect.
Thank you, Councillor.
So moved by Councillor Corser that any mentions of three-way stop be replaced with intersection safety improvements. And there's two of them, one in the title, one in the text of the body. And that is tabled. Any questions on the amendment? Any non-members committee? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Corser.
That does not, just process and understanding of staff, that doesn't negate the possibility of a three-way stop. That's just all.
Correct.
Yep. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Non-members committee, none? All those in favor, please indicate. Passes unanimously, thank you. And as amended twice, any questions, comments, members committee, non-members of committee? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate. Passes unanimously, thank you very much. Approved. And the last held item is 8.5, lease of additional speed enforcement cameras held by Deputy Mayor Thompson. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Morales. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed, and I have an amendment. To add the following paragraph, that staff in Access Barrie prepare a citywide mail out concerning the traffic safety and ASE program at the cost of $10,000 to be funded through the ASE program revenue in the operating budget, and I can speak to that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I think this gives our team an, kind of like the questions about the lights, there's been a lot of comments through, social media and stuff. So I think this gives our team the opportunity to send out something and kind of show all the residents all the different stuff we're doing in regards to, safety with our traffic and stuff, and using this program that was designed to reinvest into the safety of our streets and stuff. So, and there has been some confusion with the ASEs. So I think this will give an opportunity for some clarity.
Okay, perfect. Amendment is on the table as read. Any members of committee have any questions on the amendment? Go ahead, Councilor Corso.
Oh, sorry, not on the amendment.
Any non-members of committee have any questions? Go ahead, Councilor Congo.
Thank you, Chair Morales. And a question to Deputy Mayor Thompson. I like the idea of a survey. I guess my lens is when we're doing the survey on, not a survey, what'd you call it? Information package. I'm not sure if it falls in scope or not, but in case it should, I guess, are we making a statement too about our commitment to using revenue from this program to reinvest into infrastructure and traffic calming? Because I can tell you, 'tis a season around people noticing where their speed bumps are. And while, there's only 8, I believe, still we have per ward, I'm keen to throw something on the table, whether that's before budget or not. But though it's not a survey, one, it might be good for them to know what we're using the money for, not just an opinion of the cameras. But also then I would love to see some type of next step conversation about, can we consider if there is interest or a certain number of speed cushions that we could be investing in for next spring? And what kind of budget would that need?
Sorry, I'll just jump in a little bit and then Deputy Mayor Thompson, I'll go to you and then I saw Mayor Nettle's hand, just I think it's related to this. I'm giving perspective from the perspective of a chair. So for process, I definitely, I accept the comments about the, like what it's going to be funded. So those are totally reasonable. In terms of the speed bumps, like people giving their feedback about if they like the speed bumps, if they want more, if they want less. I don't know if that's in the scope of the amendment. Sorry, go ahead, Councilor Congo, you can clarify.
Understood, not in the scope, and because it's not a survey, that's more of a comment tied to it, noting that if we're engaging, if we can use that education piece for what we intend to use the money for. And then when we get some of the responses back, at least some point in time separately, it'd be good to carry in the conversation about what are we intending to use the money for and by when.
Gotcha. So you want to say, we're going to use money for things such as speed bumps. And so people can feel like they have a familiar, tangible, that being in the form of a speed bump. Is that the intent?
Without being scriptive to what would go in there, I think education to share intent is good. It might also help residents to then engage us to say what they would like to see. So it might open a door to a conversation or interest to say, yes, we support the program because we know the money's being reinvested for things that we care about.
Perfect. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Chairman. Absolutely. And then that's some of it too. It's some of the confusion with the ASE machines and, and then the other portion is exactly that to highlight the things that were in the motion originally, that this would be reinvested on safety from everything. Like we just passed something on consent, like a raised intersection. That's something that, bad players are going to pay for a neighborhood to be a heck of a lot safer. So that is stuff that, that I would like to see and stuff like that. So yeah, 100%. That's exactly the intentions of this. And I think our staff are hearing the message and I have full confidence in that. So.
Mayor Nuttall, you had put your hand up on this.
Yeah, I actually think I'm going to carve the center on this one in the sense that what Councillor Kungle was talking about a survey is not inside of the motion, but maybe part of what we should be asking for either on the fines. I believe we do send these out in the mail, correct? And, one way we may reduce people complaining about these is to ask them, where do you think the fine should go? Like right on the fine itself so that they can respond, I just got how much is the fine I would get?
Through Chair Morales to Mayor Nuttall. The average fine is about $90 for the ASE. The form that we use for the tickets is a prescribed form from the province.
Okay.
So we cannot add any additional information on it. We could maybe put something like a billet or something in there saying, if you have any comments or how we should spend the money, provide an address or something along those lines, but we can't change the ticket because it's a prescribed form through the province.
So Mr. Chair, may I jump in again? So whether it's that or it's the actual mailing that goes out, like, I would kind of like to ask these folks, whether they're getting tickets or not, probably, do you want investment in more cameras? Right? Do you want investment in traffic calming measures? Do you want investment in intersection pedestrian signals? Or do you want investment in what was the crossing guard program, for instance?
Mhm.
Like, ask people to where they see the value. Now, we know scientifically, technically, where, they see the best results based on previous practice. But it'd be interesting to find out from people where they actually would like to see these dollars invested.
Perfect. Thank you for the comment there. Councillor Collins, I believe you still have the floor.
Thank you. Then I would just say, I love that idea. And if we can incorporate that in some way, then I would even say incorporate to the public because, well, I might not get a fine yet. I know it's coming to Ward 3 soon. But I might have an opinion about, of course, I get a lot of engagement from people that want to see specific things on specific roads. And so that opinion might be good around within a neighborhood if we can identify a ward and a particular hotspot area that they like to see investment.
Perfect. Quick question, Deputy Mayor Thompson, because you're the mover of this amendment. I may have missed this and I'm sorry if I did. The intent to send this out, you're sending this out to all houses in Barrie? Okay, this is not a little slip addition. Okay, this is all houses in Barrie. Okay. Okay, I saw Councillor Court. I had a comment. Sorry. Ms. James Reed, go ahead.
Thank you to members of the committee. I just wanted to offer that I think we can easily include that on the mail out to the households. And I think you'd get better information that way. That would be more positive perhaps. And when you get a ticket, we're probably going to get a lot of negative comments received and it could skew your results. So I would be more in favor of putting it on the mail out as opposed to putting in an insert into the ticket.
Perfect. Councillor Harvey, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Morales. Originally, I wasn't going to speak to the amendment, but then through some of the comments that was just brought up by the mayor. If I look at the Guelph model, and a shout out to Mr. Bruton in the crowd, because it's actually his article that brought my attention to this. And Guelph is very open with the funding and where the money's going and how much money is actually coming to the municipality. And in Guelph, like obviously we're very early to the gate, so I don't know if staff even have the answers yet. But in Guelph, only about 15% of the revenue coming in is actually going to the municipality. The rest of it is being eaten up or used through the administration of the program, through whatever staff and whatever deal they have with the Toronto Processing Center, because that's where they get their cameras from. So I don't know that there's going to be a lot of money, and I'll be quite honest with you, I'm actually prefer if there's not a lot of money, because I don't want this program to ever be perceived or looked at as a huge crash grab. Because if all of a sudden the thing started generating millions of dollars, the optics from residents might be a little bit different. So just a question to staff, and again, I don't know if you have the answer, but do we have any idea of what the percentage that the municipality will see in relation to what the overall revenue is from the tickets at this stage of the game?
To staff?
Through Chair Morales to Councillor Harvey, given that the cameras have only been out for a short period of time, we've recently moved them for the third time. I think it would be too early to identify as well. With the implementation of the administrative penalties program, that will alter the revenue split that is available.
Great, thank you. And just in relation to the amendment, now that I do have the floor, obviously I'm definitely in support of this. I think too, I don't know how wide you want to go with this, but to give people in Access Barrie the ability, because there might be other hot topic items that might be of interest to go to the public, and instead of having separate mailings that become cost prohibitive, to have one mailing that might capture a few other things that Ms. James Reed and her team might feel is, because obviously we don't have a newspaper anymore. Not everybody's watching 6 o'clock news and social media and stuff. So that's just kind of my added 2 cents to this. And I don't know if there needs to be further direction on that to provide that ability, or if Miss James Reed just has the flexibility to do as she sees fit.
Ms. James Reed?
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Harvey, because I know this was your original idea and we had a chat about this. We've talked about it within our team, and the 10,000 that we're suggesting would be dedicated to the amount of the mail out that would cost for the ASD information. And if we decide to add on some waste or transit things in terms of some key messaging, then we'll fund that extra cost for the more pages through the other projects. So we think it's a great idea, and we do think that there are some messaging with respect with waste, particularly as it relates to yard waste, because there's some confusion still. So we thought it would be a good opportunity for that. And in the next couple weeks with all the different transit changes as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Corser.
I just wanted to lend my support to that as the suggestion as well, because as discussed, the news, the information doesn't get out maybe as best as we'd like it to. And social media is a monster. And if we could get as much transparency and factual information out to people so they have a better understanding of how these programs work, then I call it a win. So yeah, I absolutely support this. I think it's fantastic.
Perfect. Amazing. Any non-members of committee have any other comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll make a quick comment. I know we have another meeting to get to. Deputy Mayor Thompson, might there be an opportunity, considering this might get bundled in with the waste pickup changes, might there be an opportunity that this money, instead of being an Access Barrie, This Week in Barrie, except just an Access Barrie, we'll call it an Access Barrie newsletter, if this funding, if this amendment with this funding can just be allocated to the mayor's office to mail out the mayor's newsletter, which I know you've been doing. You do it digitally, you do it on paper for people who want to pick it up or get it. It's really well done. And if this could just be a major section, and specifically here's why: you do a multifold newsletter. You do a big, I believe what's called like a magazine kind of style. And it's 1, 2, 3, it's four sides of 8.5 by 11. So there's lots of room to do this. And you also do it out of, for lack of a better term, shiny paper, versus some of the city mail outs right now is more non-shiny paper. So if we want to get the information to people, and it's a good opportunity to let them know of other issues, I wonder if Deputy Mayor Thompson, this funding can have flexibility for Access Barrie to design the creative, and then just add it like a tile onto the mayor's newsletter for efficiency purposes. We're gonna go to the mayor first on that.
I'll be blunt. I'm not sure I want to be the face of waste, transit, and tickets.
Oh, fair enough.
And you can quote me on that there, Bob. So while I think we need to do everything we can so people open it, like you're saying,
Fair.
I'm just,
Yeah, no.
we included some of the waste stuff in our last newsletter. I've used my budget, I believe, for my newsletter at this point. And I also think there's gonna be a certain amount of people that when they see something more official coming from the city versus what they view to be political from the mayor, may actually open that differently. And so I think all the different ways of communicating, and I can certainly add some of this stuff into the next newsletter but I think it'll be like March of next year, because I've only been doing one a year.
Yeah.
If that's okay with,
Fair enough.
I'll do what I'm told to do, but I worry about that.
I was just trying to be creative. I didn't even ask you. Okay, so I'll take that back, so I don't have to go to you, Deputy Mayor Thompson. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Congo.
Thank you, Chair Morales. Comment, and it may help to take the mayor off the hot seat from saying no. Is my understanding is with the mayor's newsletter, it's an opt-in subscription. And so you wouldn't be casting to the net citywide, you'd be restricted to consent within his newsletter. So it might be good just to default it rather than going through the mayor's office and the mayor's distribution to a city process for citywide distribution.
We will go with that. I totally wasn't saying something else, but yes, because you got me out of the hot seat. So thank you, Councillor Congo. Any other questions or comments from non-members of committee? Nope, seeing none. All those on the amendment, only on the amendment, please indicate. Passes unanimously. Thank you. And now the motion 8.5, lease of additional speed enforcement cameras as amended. Any questions or comments? Question?
Just a
Microphone.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question, why lease instead of purchase? Is it because, I always wonder lease purchase because sometimes it's financially saving? Is these cameras not, is there technology that changes? We're hoping that we won't need them very long, so we just want to lease them and we hope everybody comes into compliance. I'm just an honest question to staff, and I'm not sure if I would be asking Ms. Banfield or,
Ms. Banfield.
yes?
Through you, Chair Morales, to Councillor Corser. So the whole program, the whole ASE program, council's heard many times, and it's a combination of LAS and some of the work that they did. And at this point, camera leasing is part of our, is part of the kind of overall parent agreement.
So we have to.
Correct.
Perfect.
All right, thank you very much. Good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Oh, questions go or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Morales. Obviously, I don't have a vote on this as I'm not a member of the committee. But just a question to staff. So when the program started, I know the reference to a pilot was referred to at the beginning. How long do we plan on running the pilot until it's no longer a pilot?
Through Chair Morales to Councillor Harvey. Typically, our pilots are a year in length. In this case, because of the rotation of the cameras, we may need to extend that. But generally speaking, we would report back after a year.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, I don't have a vote, but when this does come to council, I will struggle to support additional cameras this early to the game for two reasons. We've already had a staff report that indicates that they can't keep up with the flow of violators as it is. So there's still what I would say some issues that need to be worked out with the two existing cameras. And we're in a pilot that's only not even 5 months in now. And adding to that pilot, I've never seen it. I just don't know that we can justify, in my opinion, adding 2 more cameras this early to the game while we're in the midst of a pilot. And I compare it to, let's say, York Region, for instance, who's almost at the 4-year mark of their camera program. And even to date, they have 3 cameras for all of York Region. Now, some of the other little towns and municipalities within York Region are starting discussing about adding cameras within their own towns. But I just think that we're taking the cart before the horse here, but that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Harvey. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the 8.5 as amended, please indicate. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And we are now at adjournment. So this concludes the Community Safety Community meeting at